Assalamu alaikum. Can everybody hear me in the back? Okay. I'm going to start off in a bit of an unconventional way by displaying this. I realize it's sideways and you probably won't be able to read it completely. Maybe if you tilt your head, I can't rotate it. I can inshallah read it for you. It says, "Thank you, Miss Ghazala. You are kind. Don't forget me. Maha, I love you." There's a reason why I'm displaying this, not to praise myself that this cute child wrote me this letter and I want to show it to you all. Because before I actually start talking about kindergarten program in general and Tarbiyah Learning, I want to talk about why I love this age group so much and why I was placed in this particular position, because I've been teaching for over 10 years now, different age groups. But this is where my heart is. This is completely where my heart is. This was a child I taught in Qatar for a few years at the kindergarten level, who came in at the beginning of the year speaking only Arabic, knowing not a word of English. I don't speak Arabic at all. So you can imagine me with 30 Qatari kids in a classroom, like the adventures that I had there. This is at the end of the year. She wrote this letter by herself, mashallah, and gave it to me, along with a very expensive watch that I'm also wearing. One of the benefits of teaching overseas, alhamdulillah. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because it's just amazing to me what a child at the age of 4, not even being an English native speaker, can come up with by the end of the year. Mashallah. So, and this, to me, this is why we need to have a kindergarten program. We need to have a kindergarten program. Again, I've been in public schools this year. I've been in kindergarten programs there where you have JK/SK split classes where there's 30 kids under the instruction of one teacher and an assistant. And I wasn't very happy with that. I wasn't even very happy with the setup in Qatar where I had 30 students and myself and one assistant. It was craziness some days. And I really felt for some of those kids in the class because I cannot give individual attention to 30 children. In the kindergarten program that we have this year, we have 4 full-time students and 1 part-time, so at a total of 5 students. That to me is heaven on earth as a teacher. Coming with a 30-to-1 ratio to what I'm doing these days is absolutely amazing. So I just wanted to start off with that. Because kindergarten has the cute factor to it, right? It's the cuteness of the kids. You just can't resist them. So it's that whole, aw, that's so cute kind of moment. So I just wanted to start off with that. Okay, so that would probably answer a little bit about why this program. Because we need it. Because I, again, as Asad said, feel that the public school system is failing us at every level, starting from JK, SK. At every level, I've seen it. I've worked in my practicum for a few months, and I had the opportunity to, and I requested. I was in a grade 6 classroom, and I asked my associate teacher, can I just sit in every single classroom of the school? And she was really cool. She's like, yeah, sure, I'll hook you up. And I went to the JK, SK class, and I was not impressed. I mean, you have 30 kids all at completely different levels. The teacher cannot cater to what the student needs, and it's just pandemonium. And I have done it in Qatar too. And though, yes, it was enjoyable, I got the expensive watch at the end of the year and everything, but inside my heart was dying for some of these kids because I knew as a teacher I cannot give what they need. So that's the why. My vision for the upcoming year, after having done it this year, alhamdulillah, and again, having those 4 students, and all of them came at the JK level, and now we're coming to the end of the year, and they're doing grade 1 work, some of our student body, alhamdulillah. They're reading, they're writing, they're getting into grade 1 work, mashallah. So my vision for the upcoming year is basically to do what we did this year, but we're going to add on more stuff. So we advertised the program this year as a unique program that did English and French, and alhamdulillah, we did that. But I want to do more French immersion. I know that French is very needed or wanted, I would say, because for myself, if I'm going back to the Middle East eventually, I don't really care if my kids know French or not. Arabic is a priority to me. But I know in terms of living in Ottawa and living in Canada, French is a priority. So I don't want to just teach them core French. I want to immerse them in French. I want the French teacher to come in and just speak to them in French. And yeah, they might be confused. I mean, when I spoke in English to my kids in Qatar, they had no idea what I was saying. It was like I was singing every single thing, and I'm not going to sing for you here today, fortunately for you, but we were singing okay, it's time to line up, it's time to pack up your lunches or whatever, and they got it because of the repetition. So I want to have a French teacher come in and do that kind of thing, just pure French immersion, and you would be surprised at how quickly children pick up things, especially at that age. So that's one of my things for next year. Another added component that I want to do is, as Asad was mentioning, they have 1 hour of Quran at the KG level. Because again, it's they're fairly young. They can't sit there for 2 hours and do Quran. So I want to also embed Arabic into that. And not just into the Quran portion, but for example, we do morning circle every day. And that encompasses calendar. So we've done calendar in English and French this year. So they know their days of the week and months of the year and numbers and colors and shapes in French and in English. Next year, I want to add Arabic to that too. So I could possibly, with more than one educator in the room, if I have 15 kids, have 3 morning circles going on at once. One for the new kids that are coming in English, one for the kids that need to learn more French, and one for the kids that have already gone through the program this year and know it inside out in English, French, and they'll be doing the Arabic one. Or maybe they'll help teach the English one. So I want to use a lot of that because we are going to have a student body that's returning, and then we're going to have new JK, SK, and grade 1 students. So I want to use a lot of the students that have already been through the program to help me teach new concepts to the kids. There's a lot of things, obviously, that we did this year that I'm going to repeat next year. Just because we're running short on time. Afterwards, we're going to have different tables set up over there with more information on certain things, so I can go through some of those. But just off the top of my head, it's more field trips, things like that. We had scientists in school come into our classroom with our 5 children, and she came in with crates and crates of stuff. We were doing basically pulleys and gears and that unit, which we, again, took a lot from the grade 1 curriculum as well. And she came in with like 8 big crates, and she's used to going into classrooms with like 20 students at least. So you can imagine, and she was there for 2 hours. You can imagine the one-on-one attention like when she was gone, those kids knew their pulleys and gears inside out. She had so many different things. We went into the kitchen. She filled the sink up with water. She showed them stuff in there. We went into the other room, and so they just went all out in terms of that. So we want to, provide those kinds of program stuff. And again, Scientists in School is not a Muslim organization. It's a non-Muslim organization. But they have a lot to offer us under that. So that's a bit about my vision for the upcoming year. In terms of the curriculum, as mentioned, yes, we do follow the Ontario curriculum. The Ontario curriculum for kindergarten has been revised, and it's been drafted to this new full-day program that they're putting more of an emphasis on play, so exploration through learning. Play, and basically they're learning through exploration. So we do obviously a lot of that in kindergarten because you can't get the kids to sit there and say, okay, we're going to learn how to write our alphabet, so get out your notebook and your pencils and write A and write B. They'd be bored within 5 minutes. I'd be bored within probably under 5 minutes if I sat there and had to do that all day. So in terms of curriculum, yeah, we follow the Ontario curriculum. It's a very simple curriculum for me. If I was to go over the overall and specific expectations, especially for kindergarten, it's not something that takes 10 months of study to go through. It's a lot of learning centers and play-based learning, and the teacher mostly being a facilitator for their learning. So in addition to what the Ontario curriculum encompasses, I also use a program called Handwriting Without Tears, which maybe some of the homeschoolers here are familiar with. I used it for my own kids when I was homeschooling them. And we also use a bit of Hooked on Phonics, and then we kind of bring it together with different resources from all over the place. So whatever we feel necessary that we have to use. I'm a big advocate for Handwriting Without Tears. This child, the picture that I showed you before, she learned how to write because of Handwriting Without Tears. I was just following that curriculum. Handwriting Without Tears is a program that basically takes the English alphabet and concises it down to 4 shapes. So there's small line, small curve, big curve. So when you order the Handwriting Without Tears, which we've done already, it comes with these wooden pieces, multiple wooden pieces that are of those 4 shapes. So for example, on day 1, if you're teaching the letter, and they don't start with A, they start with the simplest letter, which is L, because L is 1 big line, 1 small line. So let's say the first week comes around, we're doing L. So the first day of L, they're just playing with those wooden shapes, just making L. Okay, here's the wooden sticks, go make L. The ones that are more advanced and already know they'll be making every letter and words or whatever. With that, the very advanced ones will be okay, I want to do a sentence. So the sky's the limit. You start at the very basic, but those kind of materials allow you to go as far as you need to go. The next day, you'll get out Play-Doh. Okay, now making an L with the Play-Doh. the next day use something called wiki sticks, which some of the educators I'm sure are familiar with. Okay, make me an L with wiki sticks. You keep doing this, then you get out the chalkboards and they do this dry and wet activity where they do it in chalk, and then they take a Q-tip, they wet the Q-tip, they wet it, and then it magically, quote unquote, disappears, and they're all excited, and it's a very exciting moment in the classroom. So we build up, and then the last day of the week, which is Friday, they actually do it in their workbook. So in terms of writing, and I've seen kids, and they know, half how to write a letter, or they're stuck, and all I have to say is, oh, what does that start with? Oh, big line, okay, I got it. And then they have it. And this program basically starts from JK, and there's workbooks all the way up to grade 3, because then it gets into cursive writing and so on and so forth. So this year we covered the JK and SK curriculum in terms of that. Hooked on Phonics is more for your reading skills. So that's something that I don't use all of Hooked on Phonics, because then we talk about sight words. We have a word wall in our JK classroom, and the kids know the words on the word wall, and we're constantly adding new words in there. So for me, that's amazing. I haven't seen word walls in kindergarten usually. That usually starts like grade 1 and up. But these kids know, and they're excited about the word wall. Like, it took me a while to put it up, and they were like, oh, Sister Ghazala, you said you're going to put up the word wall. They remind me. And I'm like, okay, what color should we do? And they help me design it, and we put it up. So that kind of stuff is very exciting for me. So in addition to the Ontario curriculum, we use these other core curriculums that homeschooling parents would use, and we go through that together. In terms of, I have stuff written down in front of me because sometimes I skip over stuff. It's also going to be a full day program. This year it was a half day program. Next year, just because we need more time to cover certain things, we're going to do Arabic and French and Quran and all the academic subjects and gym and everything else that I want to try to get in there. Full day, and just because Ontario is moving towards a full day kindergarten program anyway, and that's what a lot of parents had requested as well. Like, one of my favorite things to say in the classroom, I also teach social studies for the elementary girls, and they've caught on to this. I'm always like, I wish we could do this, but we have a lack of time, because I honestly want to fit in so much during the day, and our hours this year are basically 10:30 to 2:30, and the last hour is Quran. So I can never fit in everything that we want to, but with a full day program being 9 to 3, I'm sure that we're going to have more than enough time, inshallah. In terms of special learning opportunities, because again, next year we're moving, it's going to be JK, SK, and grade 1. So you might be thinking, why are you putting the grade 1s in there with them? First and foremost, because some of our returning students are already at the grade 1 level. I'm not going to reteach them the JK, SK curriculum again, they'd be bored. So having them at that level, and we had some parents that were interested for their grade 1s, and they have certain kids that are at the kindergarten level, and then kids that are in grade 1, and they want them to be in the same classroom. And we don't have a lot of interest in terms of grade 1, like our bulk is the kindergarten level. But having them, and again, I had one of my nieces who's the only grade 1 in Tarbiyah, so she sometimes is with the kindergarten classroom, and she's sometimes with the girls' elementary classroom. When she's in kindergarten, the dynamic of the class completely changes. And not to better or worse, but it just changes. And I love it when she's in there. And sometimes my other niece, who's 1.5, and she's the daughter of our Quran teacher, is in there as well. And then I have like a multi-level classroom from a 1.5-year-old to a 6-year-old. And I absolutely love it. My niece that's a 1.5 will help take the lunches to the microwave and warm them up for me, like from our JK students. And she knows their names now. My niece that's grade 6 naturally takes on that leadership role. So when it's time to do PE, she joins us and she leads the children in games. So I just sit and watch. Like, I don't know what I'm getting paid for sometimes, because I'm just delegating, okay, you do this and you take care of this, and the kids are off and they're ready to go, and I'm just watching, having the time of my life just watching them. So to have the grade 1s in that class, like I said, it changes the dynamic. And I also can, because sometimes when you have kids that are all the same age, we have 4 4-year-olds when they came in. Now some of them have turned 5, and they'll very proudly tell you that I'm 5 now, I'm not 4 anymore. So actually all of them have turned 5, except for one, he's still 4. But he's proud of the fact that he's 4. But just having them, I mean, they're gonna clash sometimes, because 2 of them want to be the leader really, really badly, and so they clash. But we use that as a learning opportunity. So sometimes when they're doing free play, I'm sitting back pretending I'm not really listening, but of course I'm listening to every word they say. oh, you took that toy from me, that's not fair, I'm like, okay, time to clean up, come to the circle. And we come to the circle, yes, we have other things to cover, but at that point, calendar can wait because I want to discuss what just happened during free play. It's like, okay, what happened? Let's talk about how that made you feel. And if I just have the kindergartens, of course, there's a certain scope of knowledge, but if I have the grade 1 there, she can shed light on issues that maybe they hadn't noticed. And then they all want to be like her and do what she's doing. And if some are already doing the grade 1 curriculum, having her there is just great. So I think having JK, SK, and grade 1 in all the same classroom is just absolutely amazing to me. We could even throw some 1.5-year-olds in there just for, for extra help. So that's one thing, because then you could have things like reading buddies, where you have a grade 1 student reading to a JK student who's just going to school for the first time. I could read to them all day long. Like, we do story time at the beginning of the day, and they are fascinated. Like, oh, can we just, one more book and read this and read that? Like, I could literally 9 to 3 just read to them, and they would be so entertained. But imagine having a child reading to another child. And we had my niece come in, and she doesn't read books. No. She sings books. So she's like, let me sing you a story. And then she's just, I don't know where these tunes come out of, and she's like using her voice in like a singing kind of tune, and she's reading the book to them. And then I see the kindergarten kids later on, because then they pretend, and they'll take a little toy bear and plop him up and say, okay, I'm going to read you a story. No, wait, I'm going to sing you a story. And it's just the cutest thing to see, because they imitate what they see. So again, having that dynamic is very, in terms of reading buddies and pairing students up, is very beneficial. Again, using those older kids as teachers, because the grade 1s can write obviously better than JK, SK, most of the time, you'd think. So when they're writing more advanced. So now all of a sudden the JKs are like, I can't do it, I'm so tired. And you're just like, okay, well, look at so-and-so. Or not to compare, and sometimes they'll even look and they'll want to compete with the grade 1. So they're like, okay, yeah, I can do it, I'm going to keep pushing myself through this. So having that competition there is amazing as well. And like I said, using them as teachers. Like, I would love to have a student just lead the morning circle, because they already know it inside out. So why not get them to teach it? And then again, like I said, just going outside, because one of the things, we moved a few locations this year. So one of the things is that we wanted a location that would facilitate outdoor play, because I don't care if it's like -20 outside, we're going to bundle up, we're going to go outside, even if it's just for 10 minutes, just to get our bodies going. And if the weather doesn't permit, in certain cases, we do something called DPA, which is short for daily physical activity. So if we're doing math and we're learning about the number, I think we're up to 30 by now, so we're doing the number 30, okay, jump up and down 30 times. Or something like that. Let's go outside and roll down the hill 30 times or whatever, and they're still getting the concept. Like he said about hopscotch and all that stuff, and then they remember. We play follow the leader, we play red light, green light, or what time is it, Mr. Wolf? But we use those numbers, so we integrate that into it. So again, outdoor play and having those things are very important. And now we're using the gym as well. So he talked about that being embedded, like swimming and gym and stuff like that. They love the gym. Friday's our gym day, and like from Wednesday, I would say like even sometimes Tuesday, is tomorrow Friday? And they know, because we've just done calendar, today is Wednesday, so tomorrow's Thursday, but when are we going to the gym? Like Friday we're going to the gym, and they just can't wait. Like, it's just like, that's the highlight, and then they get to pray Jummah also with the rest of the student body on that day, and they absolutely they would just, want to be in the gym again all day if you let them. And they get to use the equipment, and I have some kids that are very passionate about hockey at 4 years old and 5 years old, and they get to put on, I don't even know what it's called, like those pads, I guess you call them, like the knee pads and whatever, and those gloves and stuff, and they've got hockey sticks, and they're going out, and they have this huge gym all to them. They share with the elementary girls, but what we do is we just divide it in half. So 4 little kids, and they have, the use of this half-size gym. So to them, it's just amazing, and to me, it's amazing too, because I never had that opportunity as a child. In kindergarten, I had to share the gym with, 25 other kids. So there's so many special learning opportunities that you can do when you don't have one teacher and 30 kids. Like, it's me and 4 kids or 5 kids every single day. That's what I'm doing full time now. And honestly, there's nowhere else that I would rather be. Like, that to me is it's the place, whether they're playing or whether we're having lunch or whether they're fighting even. It's just amazing to me, the interaction that I can have with them and everything that I can teach them when there's only 4 of them or 5 of them. or even you 10, 12 of them with another teacher in the room. It's amazing to me. I want to go on to the next slide. Before I do that, there is this, what does the day look like? I'll get to that last. We have location and maximum capacity. So our location this year, as I said, right now we're based out of a home. So we're based out of a home and we do it there because we found that for kindergarten it worked better because of the outside play time that they need, and as well as they always have to go to the washroom, and it's just, it's easier, and we have use of the kitchen. So we do like a weekly, last week we made Play-Doh. Most exciting thing for kindergartners is to make Play-Doh and just, put food coloring and watch it change colors and everything. So we did that. We do like daily, not daily, but weekly baking. So we have a list on the board, what are the things we're going to bake, and it's so easy because the kitchen's right there. I have use of a full-size kitchen with everything, so we can bake away. So yeah, this year we had a home currently, and that home is in the West End. It's in Bell's Corner. So it's not too far off from our other location, which is in Bayshore. For next year, we are currently still determining the best location for kindergarten because we have a lot of interest from parents in the South End or in the East End. So all of our student body is not West End. So I wouldn't want to have it in the same area because then the commute for the East End and South End people would be very difficult. So we are trying to confirm a more central location, but it's yet being determined. Maximum capacity says 15. I think I had told people 10 when I met with them individually. That's because in terms of the JK SK age group, which is 4 to 5-year-olds, I'd like to have 10 in the classroom because they're obviously more needy. So having 10 of them, and then the 5 others would be the grade 1 level kids. So with a total of 15. No, I'm not going to take this all on by myself. I refuse to be the only teacher in the room because then that would, again, 15 to 1, it's still a good ratio, but it would be myself and another teacher. So then we have a pretty good ratio, especially if they're functioning all at different levels. Presently, the parents that are interested are all JK, so their kids are coming to school for the first time, or we have the ones that are returning, but they're like grade 1 level, or we have first graders. So the SK bracket is not really even there, as far as I see right now. So we have JK and we have grade 1s right now. Of course, yeah, we accept SKs, but that's just not the way that I see registration going at this point. So that's that slide. I will show you the next slide, and then if anyone, yes? Right, and again, I think I mentioned a little bit about that for this year as well. They're always very excited because that grade 1 student is not with us all the time. But when she does come in, it's like a celebrity just walked into the room most of the time. They just adore her, they look up to her, and then she takes on that leadership role. So I don't really see them being threatened or feeling any less of themselves. And the student body that we have, they're very, I don't even know what word to use for them. They're a very interesting bunch, obviously, mashallah, but they're not childish at all. So I tried to sing at the beginning. Maybe it was my singing voice that wasn't so great, but the kids in Qatar used to love it when I sang. So we would sing like the days of the week, and they just look at me like, can you grow up, please? Like, we're so past that. So I kind of revamped my teaching style for this bunch of kids. We were in the other location, and I'm going to pick on Brother Abdul Haq that's going to come and speak to you guys a bit later. They were writing the Arabic letters with the Quran teacher, and then they were putting like Dhamma, Fatha, Kasra on them. So they wrote like 2 wows with like Dhamma on it, so it said woo, woo. And he came and he took the marker, and he turned the wows into like eyes, and he made a nose and a mouth. So now it was like a wow, happy face. They were so not impressed with him. Like after he left, they're like, Teacher Ghazala, I'm going to erase that. Like, he's messing up my wows. And they were so into, like, they wanted to just get through the whole alphabet and put, like, fatha and kasras and dhammas all over it. And he just ruined it by putting his happy face. And usually kids eat that stuff up. But not our kids. Like, they're mature. That's the word that I was looking for. They're more mature than your average group of students. And so I feel that even when my son comes in sometimes, my son is grade 5 level, or my daughter who's a grade 4, they love it. Like, they can't get enough of it. So I don't see that as being a problem. I see that as a very positive thing, to have older kids in the classroom. And again, with having 2 educators, if you do have certain kids that do need to be catered more to that level, then you just split up the educators. And you have time when the whole class comes together, but you do have time when they need to be with children that are at their own level doing work and so on and so forth. So this is a sample schedule that I drafted up in accordance with what we used this year, because this year was a half day, this is a full day. So none of this is written in stone. As a teacher, you will make a schedule, you will do long-range planning, but it's not written in stone because it will adjust according to your students. I can't teach the exact same lesson I did to one class. It might bomb with another class. Maybe for one class it'll work really, really great. I go to another class, it's not going to work because of the student body. So they come in the morning, it starts at 9. That first 15 minutes, because people are running late usually, the kids need time to settle in, especially if they're going to school for the first time or they've never been in a classroom. You don't just take them in at 9 and say, okay, we're going to get started, let's do Quran. There's going to be a lot of crying. And yes, kindergarten involves crying. The first month of school, I make sure I have my Tylenol bottle with me because, especially with 30 kids in Qatar, that was interesting. I won't go there now though. So yeah, that first time they come in, learning centers are set up, there's toys, they come in, they start playing. It's just free play for them. And I'm just, again, listening, just to make sure everything's going okay. Then around 9:15 to 9:30, we have our morning circle. So this is when the whole group comes together. We do our calendar. We always start with Quran, then we do our calendar. We do okay, which letters are we doing, which numbers are we doing, so on and so forth. Any singing that needs to be done happens at that time if the students allow for it. Then after that, for the first hour, we have Quran. So Quran in KG is taught in a very different way at this level, even for the first graders. They will not sit there and just, okay, we're going to do Surah Ikhlas, let's recite it, let's do it. And then, no, it doesn't work for them. What I've seen the Quran teacher this year do, she's very dynamic, mashallah. They're basically reviewing the 30th juz, all of them. So she'll start from a certain point, and they will recite it. And for one surah, they will sit in a circle. And then she'll say, okay, stand up. For the next surah, we're standing up. And they'll be walking around the table as they're reciting and bumping into each other sometimes, but that's okay. And then they sit down for the next surah, then they stand up again. And she's got them doing things that are not going to make them fidgety. If they were just sitting there for half an hour reviewing the surahs that they know, they'd be bored. I'll tell you that right now. And not just bored, but they'd be fidgety and very, hyper in certain things. So she's got them doing these other things to keep them engaged. So that's the first hour is Quran. And again, we're going to try to embed Arabic into the morning circle time frame and also in the Quran. And they do that this year too with the letters and so on and so forth. And some of them are ready to start reading, inshallah. So after that, they have a washroom and nutrition break 1 because they need to eat. Some of them come in the morning. Oh, when's lunchtime? So we need to have that fairly early on the day. Then from 11 to 12 is our language block. I haven't specified because it says language, but language is so much. Language is the handwriting without tears that I described. Language is phonics. Language is sight words and reading. Language is public speaking. Yes, even in JK we did oral presentations. So language encompasses all of that stuff. Then we have our math block. Then after that we have our second nutrition break and a recess, and that's when we would go outside as well. Then after that is our French component for 1 hour, where the teacher comes in and she just, she'll cover the same stuff we're doing, but she'll do it in French. So 1 hour of just French. And then after that is, depending on the day, we have physical education twice a week, also along with including the gym time and the swimming that he talked about. We have science twice a week, and then we have social studies once a week. And then the last portion of the day, the class comes together again and we do social studies. Sorry, we do closing circle. So what you don't see here is arts and crafts. That's not here. That's not there because it's embedded into everything. When we're doing language and math and science, we do a lot of arts and crafts. It's a lot of painting and cutting and gluing and collaging and all that stuff. So that's embedded into everything. You also don't see on there Islamic studies, but that's embedded into everything too. We start our day with Quran, we end our day with Quran. Every single opportunity that I have with those kids to bring Islamic studies into it, alhamdulillah, we're doing it. So if they had a fight and a disagreement or whatever, we bring it back to the circle and we talk about it, and of course Islam comes up, and they will bring it up themselves most of the time. And what do you say before you eat, and what do you say when you're done eating, and when you go to the washroom, and you see opportunities all the time. The other day we took magnifying glasses and we went outside and we just started exploring. So they're using their magnifying glasses just to see what they could find and who created this, and so it'll come up all the time. So that's embedded throughout. So that's the schedule. I went through that. The only thing I have left to do is ask you if you have any questions. Okay, so next we're going to have Brother Abdul Haq, inshallah, talk about the elementary program.